In this segment of the Envision Tomorrow Plus training series, I'm going to talk about in more detail the Summary New tab and the Summary Total tab in the scenario spreadsheet. So let's go there now. Let's look at the scenario spreadsheet. So I am on the Summary New tab, and remember the main difference between the Summary New tab and the Summary Total tab is that the Summary New just looks at what you've painted on your arc map, your new development, whereas the Summary Total tab takes into account the existing development and adds to the existing development whatever you've painted in your scenario 1. So let's look in a little more detail about some of these output indicators. So I am looking, one of the key output indicators, one of the primary ones we look at, is total acres developed or total acres painted. It goes into detail about how many of those were vacant and how many of those were infill acres. It looks at infill development, whether that's housing or jobs. It looks at your land use mix in square feet or by percentage. It looks like, for example, in this scenario, we painted a lot of mixed use and a little bit of single family. It looks at your population, how many people you've added to the study area. It also looks at your average household size and how many school-age children will be in the study area. It looks at housing mix, either in units or in percentages. You can see in this scenario we've mostly painted multifamily housing. We do have some townhomes, and we do have some conventional lot single families as well. It looks at the housing tenure and the owner versus rental rates. It looks at the affordability of the housing units. Looks like here we have about $1,100 a month, which equals about $1.14 a square foot. It also looks at the home price and the average price per square foot, and the sizes of the rental size and the owner size. It breaks down the housing affordability, so housing distribution by income. 70% of the housing units we painted in our scenario, the average household income would need to be between $35,000 and $50,000 to be able to afford those homes. It looks at housing type by building type. It also looks at employment numbers, in this case employment mix, whether that's office, retail, industrial, or the total jobs that we've added to our scenarios. It also looks at our jobs to housing balance. It looks at density numbers, or people per net residential acre, or housing units per net residential acre, or even jobs per net employment acre. It gives us an income number, an average number, a household income needed to afford the housing number. It gives us a walk and transit friendliness score for both housing and jobs. It talks to the parking situation and how many parking spaces would be needed in the scenario, or how many parking spaces per 1,000 square foot of either retail, office, or industrial type development. It also looks at a parking cost in terms of percent of total or in dollars. It gives us the land cost for the scenario and the improvement value. It looks at how many new road lane miles would have to be developed or put in place so the scenario could happen. It also looks at property tax and sales tax revenues that a city or community might expect per year. It also breaks that down in dollars per acre. It looks at a few different sustainability measures, and this is either per household or per employee, but what we're looking at here is the energy use. Here is our carbon emissions in tons a year. We have landscaping water use, internal water consumption in gallons a day. We have wastewater also in gallons a day, and we have the amount of solid waste produced, and that would be in pounds a day. So that was the Summary New tab. The Summary Total, again, takes into account the existing plus whatever we painted in our scenarios, and it goes through many of the same output indicators, but also looks at a few different ones as well. It also gives us a walk trip number in both internal and external and total per dwelling unit. It looks at transit trips. It looks at how many vehicle trips by a couple of different methods. One is using the MXD method and the other is using the ITE method. It looks at internal trips, whether by walk or by vehicle. It looks at the number of external trips, whether they're walk, transit, or vehicle, and also gives us a total. It looks at the vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, in terms of internal trips and external trips. It also gives us a per capita number. It looks at parking and the ULI shared parking savings. It gives us a affordability in terms of housing plus transportation plus energy into one total number. So our housing cost in this situation, in this scenario, would be $1,028. The transportation cost to live in this scenario would be about $673 a month, and our energy costs would be $82 a month. So we can add those together to give us a much bigger picture and a much fuller picture of the affordability of the area. And those are the summary new and summary total tabs, your key output indicators for your scenarios. Thank you.